Good morning, everybody. My name is Nir Bashan. I am the McGraw-Hill author of The Creator Mindset. This book just won top 100 nonfiction book of all time, which I am very, very proud of. But enough about me. I am here with none other than Kevin Miller. He wrote a book called What Drives You, and this is a very, very special book. Kevin, thank you so much for being on McGraw-Hill's Coffee Break.
Hey man, I am honored and I appreciate your drive. It speaks loud and I love it.
100%. I'm totally into it, and I love this book. Why is What Drives You, the McGraw-Hill release by Kevin Miller? Why is this book so important right now, Kevin?
You know, I have in the acknowledgments that there's Solomon said in the Bible a long time ago, there's nothing new under the sun. So I don't know if there's anything revelatory in that. I think we have lost our way. And we're in a culture right now where diseases of despair are at an all-time high. We know that about mental health. And we are experiencing more depression, more apathy, more even just numbness than ever because we do not know what we're doing. We don't know what we want, and we don't really know why, which nobody really wants to admit. We think we know what we want, but we really don't know why. And to get back here to figure out what is driving or what is the motive for what we want, what's the reason, that is what drives us. And so this is really a digging back into going, do you know what you want? And are you in agreement, not just knowing why, but are you in agreement with why? And when we dig back there, I just did a show. We talked about, we need the 5 levels of why, because we all need to dig down about that much before we really get to it. That's what the book is about. Because when you know your why, when you know what you really value, you find that you have drive. It's no magic pill needed.
Kevin, I love it, right? But you have some people, there are always skeptics out there that are like, oh, it's all about luck, right? You kind of fall into it, right? It just happens to you. What do you say when people say stuff like that?
Well, that's one of the big myths about drive. We think that some people are driven and some people are not. And I have found that to be 100% true because we've all experienced this with ourselves, or we've seen somebody else who looks like the least driven person ever. They haven't gotten off the couch in a year from Netflix binges. And then something happens. That little inciting incident, as Donald Miller, an author I enjoy, would say, little thing happens. You get that diagnosis, or there's a death somewhere, or the job happens to, you get laid off or whatnot. Something happens and boom, next day, that person just went from zero to hero and they are super driven. It's just a little trigger that we're looking for. And it usually comes not though from that big end of life diagnosis or something. It's usually just a little dawning of looking around going, man, this is not taken me to a good place. I need to make a change. And it's pretty benign, honestly. A lot of times it's a little innocuous thing that happens and we become super driven. It's there all along, just waiting for something to trigger it. That's one of the biggest myths that people see out there, is thinking that they didn't get the luck of the draw and didn't get drive. Dude, it's in there. You just need something to help you manifest that. That's what the book's about.
My guest today is Kevin Miller. He wrote a book called What Drives You, How to Discover Your Unique Motivators and Accelerate Growth in Work and Life. Kevin, we were talking about these little triggers that happen. How do we better pay attention to them? How do we better figure them out and actually listen to them?
Just asking the questions. We don't ask what we want and why, again, that we want it. We don't audit our lives, even with goals. I come from I'm in the self-help category. Goals are a big thing. The things that we write down so often, we don't even ask why. And it's usually a cultural expectation. It's somebody in our lives' expectations, parents, spouse, whatever, friends, family, or just one that we just randomly got exposed to and thought, oh, that's really inspiring. I should do that. Well, it may be inspiring, but maybe you shouldn't do that. And we don't really, again, ask those questions and get clear on that. We just go. We're a culture that just goes and does. We do. And I say this as the chiefest of sinners in that. It's part of what my book is about. It's not a memoir. It's not all stories. It's mainly stories about the people on the bookshelves behind me that I've had on my show on the Self-Helpful podcast. And it's their stories. And man, it just, they're people who finally, for some reason, just stopped, took a pause, looked around, questioned what they really want, why, and they were in agreement with it, and they went and did it. It was not some superhero pill, or they didn't get bit by a spider. It was just, again, a little daunting, but we don't take that pause. We don't take that stop. So the book it's as much of a workbook as anything to kind of take you through and say, this is really what's made up why you are driven the way you are now. And some of it may be good. Most people are going to be driven in some areas and they're kicking butt. And I find they're generally frustrated that that same math, that same effort isn't working over here, and they don't understand it. And it can get really irritating and lead to burnout and like burnout or just giving up. And we find people I'm just going to get through the grind as long as I can and then get out of it. And that's just not the legacy any of us wants to lead.
100% agree. My guest today, Kevin Miller, What Drives You? A very, very special book, a McGraw-Hill release. This is very, very good stuff here, Kevin. I love how digestible this stuff is. And I like how the words just jump off the page, man. This isn't about an intellectual study. This is about doing. This is about looking at something and driving toward a direction. Kevin, a question I ask everybody is about creativity, right? I'm all about creativity and innovation. I talk a lot about those little steps that lead to, rapid and meaningful change. And everyone thinks it's going to be a big, big thing. No, it's usually those little things that lead you somewhere. Kevin, tell me, how did this book improve creativity, improve people's innovation?
Man, for me, it's one word, and it's clarity. When you are clear, again, I'm saying that I'm repeating myself over and over because I think it's just true. I'll own it for myself. When I am clear on something that I want, something that inspires me, man, my creativity seems to just germinate out of thin air. In essence, it comes there, as opposed to over here. If I'm churning and grinding and trying to cause creativity, it so seldom happens. And what I've learned now through my own studies and experiences, generally, I realize I'm driving towards something that I don't really want, or I'm driving towards something and I'm motivated by something that's not really authentic to me, that's not pure, and that's not healthy. And so when I, again, get clear on it, man, that's when my creativity just goes like wildfire. So clarity, one of my favorite words, and again, a big point of the book.
My guest again, Kevin Miller, his McGraw-Hill release called What Drives You just literally came out. And this is a very, very special book. Run out and go get a copy. It'll help you decide what it is that you need to do and put you on a path that you will never, ever work a day of your life again if you're doing what you are meant to be doing. Kevin, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thanks for having me. It's a gift, and you just increased my drive, brother. Thanks.